Alright, first step with graphing rational functions is to graph the asymptotes and the holes. Well, we have to find them first. So what we're going to do is just what we did yesterday. Find the asymptotes and the holes first before we graph. Okay? And write this up top so we can remember. Holes occur when what? When do we have holes? Yes, when factors cancel. Alright, VA. How do I find a VA? Yes, set bottom to 0. For HA, I look at the what? Exponents. Good. So write that at the top so we won't forget it. Alright, so step 2, actually, before this, find the asymptotes and the holes. So how do I do that on number 1?
Factor the bottom.
Okay, what does it factor into, Sid?
Positive 4 and negative 3. I mean negative 5.
Very good. Does anything cancel? That means there's what? No holes in my graph. Alright, next, let's find the VAs. I set what equal to 0? The bottom. So I have a VA at, and, very good. Alright, now for my HA, I look at the exponents, and is this top heavy, bottom heavy, or neither? So I have an HA at where? Very good. Bottom heavy is always at 0. Alright, now we get to graph. Okay? The first thing you're going to do is draw your asymptotes and your holes if you have any. We don't have any holes. Alright, VA stands for what? Vertical asymptote. And x equals 4 is what kind of line? Vertical line. Good. And the 4s are what? If I was going to graph this, where would I put this 4 at? Good. So we go over 1, 2, 3, 4. Now don't draw an actual line. I just want you to draw a dotted line. Dotted vertical line. Because on your graphing calculator, they won't show vertical asymptotes. We're just drawing a dotted line so we know where they are when we graph them. And then go ahead and draw one at negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Alright, HA means there's a horizontal line at y equals 0. That's going to be my what? X-axis. Good. Now, pay attention to step 5 before we use our graphing calculator. It says, remember, graphs like to get really, really close to their asymptotes. That means they will never touch them. They cannot touch the asymptotes because it's undefined there, right? We have 0 on the bottom. And remember that these functions should pass the vertical line test. So when we draw these functions, you don't have to draw this part. And there's a vertical asymptote here. Your function should not look like this because this is not going to pass the vertical line test, right? Because it would cross here and here. So make it look like when it's approaching your asymptote that it's not a straight line. Does that make sense? Okay. Now to graph it. Get your graphing calculators out. And I'm going to have to borrow somebody's for the time being because I got to show y'all how to type it in. Alright, let me zoom out. So go to y equals at the very top and type it in, 3 divided by, and make sure you put the bottom in parentheses, x squared minus x minus 12. And now hit graph, this button up here. Alright, notice that their vertical asymptotes match ours, but they're not straight lines. You get what I'm saying? That's why I wanted you to draw them dotted. They won't show your vertical asymptotes on here. You can just tell where they are because it's not touching that x value. Alright, let me see. Sometimes, let me show you one like this. Older calculators will look like this. This is the same graph, but these show your vertical asymptotes. See these lines right here? These are your dotted lines like we have here. It's the same graph. They just show your vertical asymptotes. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Does yours do the same thing? Let me see. That's because of this thing right here. Clear it out. There you go. You're welcome. Everybody else's look like this? Cool. Okay, to graph these, all you need is 3 points. You need one on the left side of your asymptote, the middle, and the right side, because we know that it's going to approach these asymptotes. And I'll show you what I mean. How do I find points? I can go to my what? Yes, so I hit second, then graph again. Notice where it says error at 4. Why does it say that? That's our vertical asymptote. Good. So I want to point on the left side of my vertical asymptote, which means what x value can I use that's to the left of this? -4. We can do that. So find -4 on your table. What's your y value? Yes, which this means that this is right above what here? Yes, right above 0. So graph a point at -4 right above 0. And that's the only dot we need on that side. And why? Because it's going to approach both asymptotes. Can't go past them because it can't touch them. So it's going to approach our horizontal asymptote, but it's not going to touch it. And it's also going to approach this vertical asymptote, but not touch it. That's why we only need that 1 point. Does that make sense? It can't cross them. It has to approach them. They get really close to them. So after you have that point, you just approach both asymptotes. Pick a point between our vertical asymptotes, any x value. Okay. At 0, you're going to draw your y value at -0.25. That's right below 0. So that's here. Again, it cannot cross our asymptotes. So it can't cross, it can't go up here. And it has to approach both of these. So it has to approach this asymptote, stay below our horizontal, approach the other vertical asymptote. That's why you only need 1 point. Alright, then pick a x value on this side. 5. Alright, there's my y value, 0.375. So it's right here. And we know how that's going to look. It's going to approach both asymptotes. Can't go past 0. Can't go past this vertical asymptote. Check your graph to make sure it looks the same, and it does. Now, if you did not have a graphing calculator, and who doesn't have one? Oh, okay, never mind. But anyways, if you didn't have one, all you would do, like for this x value, 0, you just plug it into the original to find your y value, and do it that way, like make a table. It's just a lot more steps. Questions? Alright, let's try this next one. First, I start by what? Alright, so Plunkett, how do I factor the top? Very good. And Bryant, how do I factor the bottom?
3x squared minus 4.
Am I done factoring? Nope. Rihanna, what can I do with this x squared minus 4?
X minus 4 and x plus 4.
Very good. Wait, say that again.
Oh, x minus 2 and x plus 4.
Good.
2.
Good. Because you used what there to factor this?
Difference is squared.
Yes. Everybody see that? Okay. We'll mark this out. Abigail Lund, anything cancel?
X minus 2.
So that means I have a what? What's my x value? Alright, and then Abigail Candidate, how do I find my y value for that? To which one? The factored or original? Very good. Okay, so on top right here, I'd have what when I plug 2 in? Good. And if I plug 2 in bottom, I'll have a 3 times. Very good. So my y value is 5 over 12. Good. Go ahead and tell me what 5 over 12 is as a decimal. Round to the nearest tenth. 0.4. Alright? We can go ahead and graph that. So instead of graphing it as a point, you go to that point and draw an open circle. So at 2.4, this is what it would look like, an open circle at 2.4. Any questions about how to find a hole? Alright, Sierra, what would be my VA on this one? Almost. Yes. Somebody tell me how she got that. Yes. Set the bottom equal to 0. Can we set this equal to 0 and solve for anything? Nope. So that's why we just set the other factor equal to 0. Darius, what's my HA on this one? Good. Everybody see how we got that? The exponents have a 2 and a 2 on top and bottom, so I just divide their coefficients. So that's why it's at y equals 1/3. Everybody good? Go ahead and draw your VA at -2 and your HA at 1/3, so that's going to be above, right above 0. Is this dot that we drew above or below 1/3? Good, because this as a decimal is the same thing as what? So which one's bigger? 0.4. So this dot, keep in mind, is actually above my asymptote I'm about to draw, even though it might not look like it. So y equals 1/3 is this line. And that hole is actually above it. Our graph's so tiny that you can't really tell. Alright, so I don't need another dot on this side. I don't even have to graph it at my graphing calculator, okay? Because it's going to approach both asymptotes, right? And it's above or below this one?
Above.
Yes. So it's going to stay above it. I'm trying to draw it the best I can. And then it's also going to approach which asymptote? The vertical one. Good. Just like this. It's going to approach the horizontal asymptote, which it did. I just couldn't really draw it that much. And then it also approaches the vertical asymptote. So now we just need a point on this side. So do y'all want to use you want to plug it in by hand or use your graphing calculator? Alright, go ahead and type it in. Your graphing calculator. Make sure the top and bottom are in parentheses when you plug it in. And then, can I see somebody's when you plug it in? You got your strap. Did everybody's graph look like this? Good. Alright, we've already drawn half of it. We already drew this half. How do I figure out an x value on this side? Table. And then I'm picking x value on that side. Alright, -3 is at what? Good. So is that above or below my horizontal asymptote? Good. Alright, so it's going to approach both asymptotes. So it's approaching this asymptote on this side and my vertical asymptote as well. Let's go back and check our graph. Looks just like it. How do y'all feel about these so far? Okay? We're going to do 2 more together and then I'm going to let y'all work on your own in just a second. Alright, I want you to find the VA, HAs, and holes on this one on your own. Go ahead and do that for number 3. Let me know if you need some help. Let's start going over this one. Alex, can you factor the top?
Yeah.
Okay, can you factor the bottom? By taking out what?
X.
And get,
X and then x squared minus 4, and then you do x plus 2.
very good. Did everybody get that far? Any questions about that part? Alright, let me cancel or scratch out this bottom. Amy, anything cancel out? Yes, this x and this x can cancel, right? Okay. So do I have a hole? Yes. If something cancels, I have a hole. What's my x value? Yes, because if I set this equal to 0, I'll have what? Alright, now to find my y value, I plug in 0 for the top and bottom where there's an x, right? On top, is there anywhere to plug in 0? So I'll have 4 on top, right? On bottom, when I plug in 0, what's 0 plus 2? 0 minus 2. Good. Everybody with me? So I'd have 4 over, which is very good. Questions about that part? Let's go ahead and draw that. That's going to be right here. Alright, Julia, what about my vertical asymptotes? Where's one of them at? 2. Okay. And Nikki, where's my other one at? Very good. And they got those by setting the bottom equal to 0. Alright, what about my HA, Abigail Kennedy? Why'd you get that? Very good. Highest exponent's in the bottom, so HA's at 0. Go ahead and draw your VAs and HAs. Alright, for this middle one, do I need any more points for the middle piece? Besides the hole that I have? No, because it's not going to go higher than this line, right? My horizontal asymptote. And it's got to approach my what? Good. So it's going to look just like this. Again, because it can't pass 0, it has to approach my vertical asymptotes. Alright, we just need a point on this side of my asymptote, point on this side. So go ahead and plug this in your graphing calculator. And I want everybody to go to the table when you get there. Everybody there? Alright, Toby, pick a value on the left side of my asymptote. -3, which is right here. Somebody tell me the value, the y value at -3. 0.8, so right about here. Do I need another point? Nope, it's not going to go past what? 0, so it's going to approach here. It's also not going to, from here it's also going to approach my what? Vertical asymptote. Alright, Evan, pick a value on this side. 3. What's the y value for 3? Good, same thing. And again, it's not going to go past 0. It's got to approach my vertical asymptote. Check the graph. Does it look like this? Very good. Questions? One more together. Go ahead and find everything on your own. VA, HA, hole. All right. Darius, how do I factor the top?
X plus A.
Do I factor the bottom? All right. What cancels? So I have a hole if something cancels. What's the x value? Good. We get that by setting whatever you canceled equal to 0. And then how do I find my y value? Good. And all that's left is this x right here. So when I plug it in, it'll be, yes, very good. What about my VA? Good. There's not one because why? The bottom canceled, right? So there's no bottom anymore. So no VA. What about HA? No HA because it's what? Very good. Now, before you go plugging this in your graphing calculator, if all of this canceled, tell me what this new equation would be. Just y equals what? What kind of function is this? A linear function, just a line, right? We know how to graph lines. We don't need a graphing calculator. So what's the y-intercept? 0. Good. Nothing here, right? Oh, let's draw our hole at -3, -3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What's my slope? Good. So for my y-intercept, I go up and very good. So it's just a straight line with a hole at -3, -3. Questions about that one? All right. Your homework and what you're working on now is these 4 graphs, okay? Now these are due Friday, but I want you working on them until 9:56. Until 9:56.